If the USA is Christian and socialism is central control of the means of production, and then God made and planned everything, then is the USA a socialist state? So this is just a question for Christians, just a quick one. I mean, there's some basic things, because that is something people say. Oh, it's a Judeo-Christian country, or at least they say Christian. I think the Judeo-Christian is more current. And whenever someone says Judeo-Christian, like, first of all, that's a made-up term. I do know words change, you can add things, but why aren't you adding Christolamic and add like the third of the Abrahamic religions? Why are you just cutting it off with those two? And how many of I guess you can argue that a lot of the actual founding fathers of the United States of America were Christian, at least ostensibly. Mostly of them were deists. I don't know how much that actually meant to them. There's the things about just being practical in general. Even if you weren't a believer, you'd understand that, hey, to actually hold office and be in this society, I'm going to say that I believe in XYZ, whether you actually live it. Because a lot of the people, the way they actually lived Christianity at that time, on average, the people who call themselves Christians today, if those people came now today and looked at the people who say they're Christians today, and most of these people who say those people in the past were Christians, founding fathers, these people in current year, these current Christians, if they were actually compared, if those people from the past came and saw them, the way these current Christians live their life would probably, almost definitely be considered as blasphemous in just the basic things they do. So even the Christianity itself changed. Now, if they personally believed to be Christian and they had the actual constitution that literally was like separation of church and state, now that isn't as practical. I don't think that has happened. I would prefer, instead of a freedom of religion, I would prefer it to be freedom from religion, not freedom of from religious persecution, but freedom of, it should be a separation. There should be a direct effort to remove religion from the political sphere. I think that would make for a better world, and I think we're heading that way as is anyway, going to more rational things. But people state that. So they say, okay, these people were Christian, and that somehow means that the country itself is Christian because it was created by mostly Christians. Well, the country was also created by mostly slave owners. So is the country a slave-owning country? I think that was more direct and unique to that time of what they were doing at that time. And now you can say, okay, look, in the Constitution, there were separate things about this. But yeah, in the Constitution, in the Declaration of Independence, there are things that are saying separation of church and state. So why are some people claiming that it's part of it? But with that Christian aspect, socialism is defined as a central control of the means of production. So that's controlling the goods, controlling the factories, controlling the farms, controlling the things that actually provide the resources, and then redistributing that centrally from somebody who knows what people need, how they'll actually be provided for, how they'll be cared for. That person knows more than you do, knows more than you can possibly do. So you have to give it all to them, and then they spread it around. They spread that wealth. That's how it is under socialism, under communism. And the basics of Christianity, I know, as I mentioned, it has changed. But still, I think your average Christian will believe in at least a maximally powerful God that made and planned everything. And everything is God's when it comes down to it. Your body, your mind, your soul, your friends, your loved ones, the country itself is supposedly God's country, God's chosen people, and God's place like that. And God controls everything. God supposedly controls things in a far more intrinsic and base level, every single thing, down to the atomic level, down to your thoughts. He knows what you're thinking, knows exactly what you need, when you need it. If something bad happens, or it just wasn't your time, God is just testing you. But then when something good you weren't expecting happens, God just brought it to you exactly at the time when you needed that thing. That is a claim that people make. So that is a being, that is central planning, as central planning as it comes. So with those kind of things mentioned, the people who say it is a Judeo-Christian country, or it's just a Christian country, United States is a Christian country, we need to get Christianity back into the country. Do you agree that the United States of America is technically a socialist state? Is there some kind of way where you think the God can kind of select the right people to redistribute the things the God actually realizes that you need? Because God is still not directly just manifesting things into your life. They're using people to get those things that are supposedly for you. Oh, this job I wasn't really expecting. I got this promotion. I'm in this position now. Then I got this place and I moved to this other location and I met this person. God supposedly was moving all those things around through other people. Somebody had to create that job. That person who was actually who you met, who you're going to marry, that person was sent there to do something that somebody else requested, and those things. So God is moving the pieces around. So regardless of whether God is doing it or some central Politburo or something, he's saying like these people need to go here, this person needs to marry this person needs to work here. It's still all that. So yeah, unless there is something, because I've heard some people somehow make the claim that somehow Christianity is anti-socialism and things like that, more about individualism, and I don't get that. You let me know if you're Christian or if you're just aware about this topic. You don't have to be Christian to answer this question. But yeah, so is the United States of America a socialist state due to the fact that it is a Christian country and the Christian God does make and plan everything in that general understanding? Till next time, like, share, subscribe. I appreciate you taking your time. Links to merchandise store somewhere where you're listening to this as well. Also PayPal if you want to help me out. Much appreciated. Just appreciate you taking your time. Goodbye.